Mixed numbers. Multiplying mixed numbers. What are they? Numbers consisting of a whole number and a proper fraction. Why? Helps in developing sense of size. Interesting fact. Black mambas get their name because of the black color inside their mouths. And black mambas are types of serpents. So let's go ahead and take a look at the examples that we're going to take a look at in today's video. Example 1 and 2, no simplifying. Examples 3a and 4b, simplifying. And then example 4, simplifying. So let's go ahead and take a look at example 1. But before we do that, let's read the steps. Step 1, convert each mixed number into an improper fraction. Step 2, multiply the numbers together. Step 3, then the denominators together. And step 4, simplify. Let's read the question. Multiply the mixed numbers 2 1/3 and 1 3/5. So we're going to go ahead and get that process started by multiplying the denominator and the whole number and then adding the numerator, which is 3 times 2 plus 1, which gives us 7. Keep the same denominator of 3, and we have the fraction 7 over 3. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other mixed number. 5 times 1 plus 3, which gives us 8. And we keep the same denominator of 5. And now we're going to bring the two fractions together. It's a little bit easier to see. Multiply 7 and 8, and then multiply 3 and 5, and 7 and 8 gives us 56. 3 and 5 give us 15. So now we're going to have to change that improper fraction into a mixed number. In order to do that, you use long division. So now we're going to write down the multiples of 15 and pick the closest multiple of 15 to 56 without going over, and that is 45. So we put the 3 on top, the 45 below, subtract 56 and 45 to find our remainder, and that is 11. So now we know our remainder, which is 11. We're going to use the three numbers 15, 3, and 11 to write our mixed number, and that is 3 and 11 15ths. Now let's take a look at example 2. So we have 3 and 1/4 times 1 and 2/3. So we're going to go ahead and change the first mixed number into an improper fraction, multiplying the denominator and the whole number, and then adding the numerator, which is 4 times 3 plus 1, which gives us 13, and we keep the same denominator of 4. Now we're going to go ahead, do the same process to the other mixed number, and we get 3 times 1 plus 2, which is 5. Keep the same denominator of 3. And now we squish those two numbers together. So we have 13 times 5 over 4 times 3. And 13 times 5 is 65. 4 times 3 is 12. Now we're going to go ahead and use long division to figure out the mixed number. So let's write down the multiples of 12 and figure out which one is closest to 65 without going over, and that is 60. Put the 5 above, put the 60 below, and 65 minus 60 is 5, and that is our remainder. So we're going to use the 12, the 5, and the last 5 to write our mixed number, which is 5 and 5/12. Now let's take a look at example 3 or 3a, and multiply 2 and 1/2 and 1 4/5. So convert it into an improper fraction, multiply the denominator times the whole number, and add the numerator, which is 2 times 2 plus 1, which is 5. Keep the same denominator of 2, you have 5 over 2. So follow the same process with the other mixed number. We have 5 times 1 plus 4, which is 9. Keep the same denominator of 5, and you have 9 over 5. Put the numbers closer together, so you have 5 times 9 and 6 times 5. So 5 times 9 is 45. 6 times 5 is 30. So we have 45 over 30 as our improper fraction. Let's find our mixed number. We're going to write down the multiples of 30. Pick the one that's closest to 45 without going over. And that is 30. Put the 1 on top. Put the 30 below. Now we can go ahead and subtract 45 and 30, and you get 15. And that is our remainder. We're going to use the 30, the 1, and the 15 to write our mixed number. But since 15 and 30 are both multiples of 15, we can go ahead and simplify that to 1 and 1/2, because 15 divided by 15 is 1, and 30 divided by 15 is 2. So 1 and 1/2 is the answer. Now let's take a look at 3b, which is the same question, but doing it a little bit differently. So we have 2 1/2 times 1 4/5. Same question, same process. Multiply 2 times 2 plus 1, which gives us 5, and then keep the same denominator of 2, and we have 5 over 2. Now we do it to the same, to the other mixed number, and we get 5 times 1 plus 4, which is 9, and we keep the same denominator, which is 5. We're going to squish the numbers together, so we have 5 times 9 and on the top and 6 times 5 on the bottom. This time, we're going to go ahead and simplify before we multiply. The reason why we're doing that is because there are smaller numbers, and it is easier to multiply smaller numbers than it is to multiply bigger numbers. So we're going to pick a number on top and a number on bottom that they share a common factor. So we're going to take a look at the green 5. We're going to divide that by 5, and we get 1. And now we're going to do the same thing to the red 5, and we're going to divide that by 5, and we get 1. So since 5 is on top and 5 is on bottom, we can then go ahead and simplify those two numbers before we do it, and we're going to get the same answer. Now if we take a look at the 9 and 6, they're both have factors of 3, so we're going to divide the 9 by 3 to get 3, and then now we're going to go ahead and divide the 6 by 3 to get 2, and we're going to rewrite those numbers so it's a little bit easier to see. So we have 1 times 3 and 2 times 1. That gives us 3 over 2 as an improper fraction, using long division to find the mixed number. So we're going to write down the multiples of 2, pick the one that's closest to 3 without going over, which is 2, put the 1 on top, 2 below, subtract 3 and 2, give us 1. That's our remainder. Use the 2, 1, and 1 to write our mixed number, which is 1 1/2, and that is our answer. Now let's take a look at example 4. 4 2/3 times 5 5/8. Convert it into an improper fraction, multiply the denominator and the whole number, and then add the numerator. So we get 3 times 4 plus 2, which is 14. Keep the same denominator of 3, and do the same thing to the other mixed number, and we get 8 times 5 plus 5, which is 45. Keep the same denominator of 8, and we have 45 over 8. Now we're going to multiply or squish the numbers together, and this time we're not going to do the multiplying the bigger numbers. We're just going to go ahead and simplify beforehand so we have smaller numbers. So we're going to go ahead and deal with the 14 and the 8 first because they're both even. So we're going to divide 14 divided by 2, which is 7. Now we're going to divide 8 by 2, which is 4. And then now we're going to deal with the 3 and the 45 because they're both multiples of 3. So 45 divided by 3 is 15. 3 divided by 3 is 1. I'm going to rewrite it so it's a little bit easier to see. So we have 7 times 15 on the top and 1 times 4 on the bottom. And so we do 7 times 15, which is 105. 1 times 4 is 4. And now we're going to use long division to figure out our mixed number. Write down the multiples of 4. And then see how many times 4 goes into 10. And that is 2 times. So we have the 2 on the top, 8 below, and 10 minus 8 is 2. And now we're going to bring down the 5 and then pick the closest multiple of 4 that is closest to 25 without going over, and that is 24. Put the 6 on top, put the 24 below. 25 minus 24 is 1. Put that as your remainder. So we're going to use 4, 26, and 1 to write our mixed number, which is 26 and 1/4, and that is your answer. And finally, it is your turn, so go ahead and pause the video so you can take your time to answer these questions, and I will show you the answers in 3, 2, and 1. Here you go. If you got them correct, well done. If you didn't, there's always tomorrow.